He was just a janitor at MIT. One day while mopping the floor, he noticed a problem written on a blackboard. He had no idea it was one of the world's most advanced and difficult equations, yet he solved it easily. The equation was so complex that only a few people worldwide could solve it, some of them Nobel Prize winners. When the professor who posted the problem saw the correct answer, he rushed over to ask about it. "This is amazing. Who did this?" None of the top students in the class had solved it. That was when the professor realized MIT had just found a new genius. No one could have guessed. This genius was a quiet janitor. The professor had promised that anyone who solved the equation before the end of the semester would receive the highest academic honor, with their name engraved in MIT's history. Yet just one day later, students from all over campus came to see who had solved it, but the mysterious genius never appeared. So the professor issued a new challenge, and a colleague made another problem, one that had taken them over 2 years to solve. They wrote the new equation on a hallway blackboard, hoping the janitor would see it. During his nightly cleaning, when Will saw the new equation, he started solving it again, but this time the professor caught him. At first he thought the janitor was just drawing on the board. Angry, the professor moved to stop him, but Will, seeing the professor, quickly ran away. The professor chased him around the corner. Will was already gone, but when he turned back to the blackboard, the professor stared at the answer on the board. He was shocked. Will had done it again. It was nothing less than a miracle. But Will's brilliance did not end there. He had a near photographic memory. No math problem was too hard for him. He had barely gone to school, yet his home was full of books. After asking around, the professor finally found Will, but by then Will was already facing assault charges. He had not hired a lawyer. He did not need one, because his memory of law was so sharp that he defended himself in court, leaving the other lawyers speechless. Clearly, this was not Will's first time in court. The professor watched amazed, his surprise clear on his face. But this time things were not so simple. Will was arrested, unable to pay the high bail. That's when the professor stepped in. He wanted to help this young man, to see what he could really do. The judge agreed to release Will on bail, but with two conditions. First, he had to study advanced math with the professor every week. Second, he had to go to therapy. Will hated the idea of seeing a therapist, but compared to jail, he would take the sessions. Soon he began showing the professor his true skill. No matter how complex the equation, Will could solve it in minutes, sometimes even quicker than the professor himself. The professor might have put a hand on Will's shoulder, seeing the young man's future, but Will was stubborn. He refused to let anyone near his heart or feelings. Every therapy session became a fight. He found holes in their methods, countering with sharp words. He pushed every therapist to their limit. 5 tried and 5 failed. No one could break through his walls. So the professor turned to his old friend Sean. He did not want to take the case, but the professor insisted. Will was a once-in-a-century genius. If they gave up on him, the world would lose something special. Finally Sean agreed.